On this Friday's episode of Traveling Young,
we're going to talk about the Euro Championship 2020-2021. We're the Youngs.
We've spent our lives traveling the world, and in 2018 we moved from
Chicago, Illinois to
Copenhagen, Denmark. Now we want to share with you
how our new lives abroad
is keeping us young. Keeping us young.
are helping to keep us young. Welcome back to Traveling Young, our very elaborate set
yes, with our Denmark ball.
and our analysis of the Euro Championship 2021.
It should have been 2020.
In case you were not born yet, and this is still on the internet in the year 2041, there was a pandemic in 2020.
Yes.
And that pandemic pushed the tournament back 1 year. And so now it's being held in 2021.
Yeah.
It was quite an elaborate idea, too, because this is one of the first times, maybe the first time ever, it wasn't held in a single region or country.
It's been all over Europe.
All over Europe, which is less than ideal when there's a pandemic all over the world. But it begins today, so we're super happy to see what happens. Before we start, though, Miranda's going to talk about what we did this weekend.
Yes, and we were so excited. We got to go see the Danish national team play Bosnia and Herzegovina in a friendly match, really the last friendly match before the Euro started. And it was so much fun. Like, it was the first time in forever that we had been to a football match. It was so great to be there and hear, like, sing the songs, be super excited when the team makes a goal, and watch some great football. And it was just so nice to be out.
Yeah, and as for the performance, I got to say, so the Danish team, it was 2-0, they won.
Yeah.
They had two really good goals, and the set piece on the corner kick with the header was just
really
well
good.
executed.
Yeah.
But outside of that, there were some missed passes, some that were just way missed.
And
There's
there was
one
a lot of
situation.
passing.
There was one situation where pass went like straight to a Bosnian player who, if he was, maybe on a top tier team, would have just scored.
Yeah.
And you cannot make those kinds of mistakes if you want to go deep in a tournament like that. So they need to get over those things. But otherwise, there was moments that were just like super well executed too.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
there's hope, and I think it's going to be interesting to see. But it was a ton of fun to be around people watching a game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but what we want to do for you is break down our predictions for the 2020 Euro Tournament. And what we're going to do is, for 1 minute each, we're going to break that. So each group, I've got three groups.
Yep.
She's got three groups. We're going to predict the winners. We have 1 minute for each group. So we're going to run through those. Then we're going to go through which leftover teams make it into the round of 16, then we're going to basically, we're going to go through the whole thing. I don't need to go through the whole thing right now and explain it to you.
We all know how the bracket works.
But that's what we're going to do, and we're going to end up who we think the winner is going to be.
Yes.
But let's start.
Yeah.
Right. I'm here with Group A, the first group we're going to talk about, and that has Turkey, Wales, Switzerland, and Italy. And this is an interesting group because Wales actually did pretty well in the last Euro Cup. And Switzerland did pretty well in the last World Cup. Actually, we saw Switzerland-Sweden, which was an interesting match in Russia. Italy, of course, tends to do either well or not well, but they still make it pretty far. And Turkey doesn't have a massive history necessarily. So I'm going to pick Italy to win the group. And then I'm going to pick Switzerland second because of their just general history of doing okay in these tournaments. And then Wales, I'm going to pick third. And I think they've maybe got a chance of moving on as one of the extra leftover teams. But Turkey, I'm sorry, you're going to be fourth in Group A within my picks.
All right, my first group is Group B, and that consists of Belgium, Denmark, Finland, and Russia. And my choice for how they're going to end up in the group is going to be Belgium first because I feel like they're a really solid team. I think they always do well. They, of course, beat us in the World Cup, so I'm going to put them first. Then I'm going to go with Russia because I feel like they're another really solid team. They're kind of fly under the radar a lot, but they're very solid. They've performed really well. And then, of course, I'm going to go with Denmark. I think we've performed quite well. And then I'm going to put Finland last. Sorry, Finland, but I just can't see Finland coming out of the group. So that's how we're going.
All right, here we are in Group C now. We've got North Macedonia, Austria, Ukraine, and the Netherlands. All right, well, we've got a powerhouse, Netherlands, the orange guys. They always seem to do pretty well, certainly get out of the groups in most of these tournaments. So I'm going to pick the Netherlands to win this group. Next, I'm going to pick Ukraine. They're a bit gritty, and I remember at the last Euro, they had a super interesting run. That was the last World Cup during the qualifying. They had a really close run with France, almost knocked France out of World Cup qualifying. Very, very exciting. So I'm going to pick them second. They have a pretty gritty team historically. North Macedonia is going to be sleeper at third, and Austria I'm going to pick fourth. But it should be interesting to watch this group for sure, although Netherlands I think is going to easily come out on top.
The next group that we have is Group D, and that consists of Croatia, Czech Republic, England, and Scotland. And the way that I'm going to put my teams for this one is going to be Croatia up at the top, England coming in at number 2. I'm going to have Scotland coming in third, and then Czech Republic coming in fourth. That might be a little bit controversial, but I feel like Croatia always does really well. They're always a really strong team every time we've seen them. England, of course, is England. I'm going to put them above Scotland because I just think they're going to do well, but I'm going to have Scotland in that third spot. And then I'm putting them over Czech Republic because they've actually beaten the Czech Republic twice the past 2 times that they've met them. So I'm going to put Scotland over that.
All right, here we are in Group E, and my favorite part of this group is just the rainbow of colors represented by all the teams here. The uniforms are going to be fantastic, right? We've got Spain, we've got Sweden, we've got Slovakia, and we've got Poland. Now, Spain is one of the powerhouses and won the World Cup not too long ago, so Spain tends to do pretty well in the group stage in these tournaments and often dominates their group. They tend to start to struggle in the knockout phases, so I'm going to let them win this group. Group E is Spain. Poland is second. They made it pretty far last time and lost to Portugal. We were actually at that match when Portugal beat Poland at the last Euro Championship. Then we've got Sweden, who typically does pretty well. They made it into the next round of the World Cup, but I think they're going to get third in this group. And then Slovakia is going to be fourth. So I've got Spain, Poland, Sweden, and Slovakia as my picks in Group E.
The last group is the group of death. It is Group F, and it is Portugal, Germany, France, and Hungary. My picks for this are going to be Portugal in the number 1 spot because they've got a really good team coming into the Euro. They've, of course, got Cristiano Ronaldo. Not always my favorite person, but he is an amazing player. After that, I'm going to have Germany coming in the number 2 spot over France. And then I'm going to have poor Hungary coming in last because it's the group of death. Somebody's got to go, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be Hungary.
All right, there's the groups.
Yes.
That accounts for 12 of the final 16, but we need 4 more in there in order to get the full 16. Brisket's super happy if you didn't hear him just now say that. So I'm going to pick 2, and I'm going to pick France because it feels quite obvious that they're a top team and they're going to they're in a super difficult group. But they're going to do well, I think, at least well enough to get into the next group, the next round. I'm also going to pick Denmark because I think Denmark's going to do well. I actually left it up to, we didn't debate our own groups. I might have picked your group differently. I want to make sure Denmark goes through. I'm not the one wearing the Denmark jersey right now, but I want to see them go through. So my 2 of the final 4, Denmark and France.
I'm going to go with Wales and Scotland because I feel like both have had some surprising results in the past few years. They've done, they've both got a lot of grit and, I kind of want to see them be a bit of the sleeper hits.
Yeah, well, Wales did well in the last Euro Championship, so it seems quite plausible. Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the brackets. And so what we're going to do now with the brackets is I'm going to take a couple of those games, and Miranda's going to take a couple of those games and talk about what we think the winners are going to be. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, so here's my top of the bracket. And there's Brisket making tons of noise. Top of the bracket for round 16 and my picks. I'm going to pick Belgium over Scotland. I think Belgium is going to be a pretty strong player this tournament. I have very little facts to support this, but I would love to see them do well, so I'm rooting for them, and I love Belgium generally. Italy's going to beat Ukraine, although I think it's going to be just a grunge match because they have such different styles of play. It'll be very interesting to see how they clash on the field, but Italy is one of the European powerhouses. I think Denmark's going to beat Portugal, mostly because I don't really like the Portuguese team. I'm sorry. I love Portugal as a country. I love Lisbon. I've been there, loved it, but I'm not the biggest fan of their team. I was a little disappointed they won the last Euro Championship, so I'd love to see Denmark just take them out this time. And then lastly, Poland over England, because I think England is typically a bit of a disappointment in these, so I don't think they're going to do so well. And Poland actually did pretty decent in the last Euro Championship, so I'm picking Poland over England in my final round of 16 pick.
So the first match that we have is Spain against Wales. And of course, I have to go with Spain. Spain is amazing, always. I kind of feel like they might crush Wales. The next match we have is Croatia versus Germany. Again, Croatia's really, really good, but Germany's the machine. It's really tough to get past Germany. So I'm going to put Germany over Croatia. Next is a tough one, Netherlands versus France. And I think it could really go either way. Netherlands is a really, really good team. They've always played really solid, but I think France just has the edge over them. They play a little bit better. And the last one is going to be Switzerland against Russia. Have to go with Russia on that one. Switzerland is an okay team, but it's Russia. I mean, Russia is a good team, so they're going to beat out Switzerland. All right, and we're back.
Yes, we're back. So now we've got us down to 8 teams.
Yes.
And that means there's 4 games. And we're going to let Miranda pick first because she's up at the top of the bracket.
I am. So I'm going to pick Belgium over Italy because I feel like Belgium is always a really strong team. And I feel like Italy has a tendency to kind of implode when it gets on the big stage. So I'm going with that. And then I'm, of course, going to pick Denmark over Poland. And that's purely because it's Denmark. I don't know that much about how well Poland's done, but I'm going for Denmark.
Well, Poland, made it to the final 8, I guess, last time, because that was one of the matches we saw Poland-Portugal, and they lost to Portugal in the last Euro. But besides that, I don't know too much about them myself. So I'm going to pick Germany over Spain, because Spain seems to be like hit or miss. Either they're really good in a tournament, like they won the World Cup not too long ago, but sometimes it just doesn't pan out so well. And I feel like it's going to be tough to get past Germany.
Yeah.
So in that case, I say, Next, I'm going to say France over Russia because France won the World Cup not long ago. They're also hit or miss sometimes. I mean, they've had some very poor performances, but more often than not, they do well.
Yeah.
They won the World Cup. They made it to the Euro Cup final the previous time. Granted, it was also in France, so that helped a little.
And I feel like they've always gone further than Russia, so...
Yeah, so I feel like I think that's going to be the run there, which would be Germany-France, which I also want to see a very defining win it, we'll go home Germany-France game. I think that would be super, super interesting.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do now, though, before we get to the last picks, is we're going to do Friday Facts. And I'm hoping that Maya will respond to my message because I asked her to do Friday Facts about her history with soccer. I'm going to leave it up to her. If I appear in a moment, that's because she did not respond to my text, and I will say her history in football. But hopefully she will be here with a video from after school on this week's Friday Facts. That's just interesting things about us that define who we are.
Yep.
This time it's going to be Maya and football.
Hi, this is Maya popping in with a little Friday Facts. So I've been to every World Cup since I was born. So the first one I went to was in 2006 in Germany. And then we went in 2010 to Africa. And then in 2014, we went to Brazil. And in 2018 was Russia. And we've been to every single one. And it's been so cool. Like, I've really loved going in the more recent years when I was older. When I was younger, like at the Africa one and the Germany one, I basically just like took a nap through the entire match, which is really funny because like at the Africa one, they had these things called vuvuzelas, which were like super loud. And they're like these horn things and they are so loud. And I don't know how I slept through those, but it's crazy. And then in the Germany World Cup, I also fell asleep through all of the matches. I mean, like, imagine taking a nap in a soccer stadium at the World Cup. I don't know how I did it. But yeah, the Brazil World Cup and the Russia World Cup, I was more interested because I was older and I actually liked soccer. And at the Brazil World Cup, I had been like playing soccer around that time. And in the 2018 one, we had just moved here. But I was older and I really enjoyed it. And I've always loved soccer. So But yeah, it's been so cool to get to go to the matches and see people. And there's, sometimes I look back and I'm like, whoa, we got to see them. Like now, we saw Sweden. We saw a match with Sweden when we were in Russia. And at the time, it didn't really mean that much to me. But now it's like, wow, that's actually really cool that we saw Sweden because they're like right next to us. And it was Sweden and Switzerland, which is also, I have a friend from Switzerland. So I was like, oh, I got to see his country. And it's just so cool thinking back. And I just love the vibes of the World Cup. Everyone's just so excited. And I just love everyone just sporting the stuff with all their country. And everyone is just so happy. And yeah, I loved going to the World Cups. And it was so much fun going to like the fan zones and stuff in all the countries. Because the fan zones are so cool. They have like little ones here. There was a little one in Roskilde that we went to. And there was also one on the beach in Rio that we went to where we saw America play. And lose, but that's fine. But yeah, that's my little fun fact Friday about all the World Cups I experienced and slept at.
Maya's had a lot of football in her life, for sure. Yeah. So here we are into the final 2 matches, yes. Final 4 teams. And I'm going to start this one, and this is where I'm going to have to abandon Denmark and say Belgium over Denmark. Now, Belgium beat the United States in the World Cup in Brazil. I have a sore history with them because of that.
If it hadn't been for Tim Howard, we would have been destroyed.
Yeah, destroyed. He kept us in that match. Yeah. But I think Belgium is going to beat Denmark. I think it's going to be tough for Denmark to get further. And we're probably quite optimistic to say they'd even make it to the Final 4. And I think Belgium is kind of a sleeper that's always been like pretty decent, but haven't been able to break through in these international tournaments. I think this is the one. This is the one. So I'm picking Belgium over Denmark.
And I get stuck choosing between France and Germany. And I'm going to go with Germany. I know that France has actually been performing a bit better. They've won some more matches than Germany has won recently. But Germany's the machine. I was born in Germany. My family spent a bunch of time living in Germany. And I think I would probably be disowned if I did not go for Germany. So my pick is Germany.
All right. Well, that takes us to the final game, Belgium versus Germany. And I'd say we have not gone against each other's.
No.
I've let your, even though I don't agree with him.
He doesn't agree with my
But this is where the debate begins because I would love to see Germany not win.
Yeah.
And I would love to see Belgium, a first-time winner, come out. And I love Belgium. I love Belgian beer. I would love to see Belgium win this. So I'm going to go for Belgium in the final as the victor.
Yeah, and I'm sticking with Germany. I still can't forgive Belgium for knocking us out of the World Cup in 2018. Or no, I'm sorry, 2014. And it's Germany. I have to go with Germany. I think my dad would call me up and kick me out of the family if I didn't go Germany. So we're going with the machine.
All right. Well, there you go. That's what we think. I'm going with Belgium. She's going with Germany. This has been fun to just think about it and talk about it. We love this. We've been to so many, and I mean, these are the tournaments that we live for. So I'm so excited to start watching matches tonight. It's a bummer with the pandemic that it's not as easy to be out and about and see matches because the fan zones are so much fun. And that was the promise of what this was going to be, having it distributed all around Europe.
Awesome.
And living here, we probably would have gone to like a match in Italy, a match in Spain. We would have been all over Europe going to games. So like on the weekends and stuff. So it stinks not being able to do that, but we're going to enjoy watching them from here.
Yes.
And if somebody who's affiliated with the Danish national team happens to see this and wants to get us in, we will be super happy and we will gladly talk about how much fun we had because we will have fun. And we tried to get tickets, but we couldn't get any. So for the moment, we're going to be cheering on from the home. But anyway, thank you so much for watching us. We appreciate it. We've got some interesting things. We're actually ahead of schedule in terms of shooting some stuff. So next Tuesday, we have a collab with some special people. We won't give that secret away quite yet. And we talk about some American food that we really like, and we experience that with them. Some of our friends in the YouTube family, so stick around for that. But until then, I think we need to go so we can go watch some football.
Definitely.
What do you say?
Let's go.
All right, brisket.
No. Nope. Oh! Sorry.